Good morning. I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching. It is appreciated as always. Our favourite failed First Minister of Scotland, hapless Humza Yousaf, has been on his soapbox today saying that Britain needs migrants. The evil, the nasty, far right don't want you to know the truth. Well, we're going to have a look at his statements today and we're going to see if he's onto something or he's being a disingenuous fuckwit, as per usual. Pardon the language, but he really, really grinds my gears. So we're going to get into this now and we're going to go through it point by point.
Here's three things the far right in Britain don't want you to know. Firstly, Britain is indebted to migrants.
No, we're not. The last 30 years, since Tony Blair, we have depended on migrants because of a aging population and declining birth rates. But if you look back over the past 1,000 years, before 1997, we had about 50,000 immigrants a year. So we're not indebted to immigrants by any stretch of the imagination. But continue hapless. Let's see if you get any points correct.
Migrants keep our public services running.
No, they don't.
And our economy booming.
Booming. Our economy booming. Grows at 3%. Sorry, 0.3%. Okay. And we've got inflation at 3.8%. The Boris wave has shown that you can import over 1 million people into the United Kingdom. And it doesn't make any difference. And the reason why it doesn't make any difference is because most are net drains. Most take more out of the economy than they put in. Especially if you're importing these people from further afield than Europe. That's the sad truth of the matter. There are exceptions, like Japan. However, generally speaking, the Western world are net contributors to each other's countries. The third world, anywhere outside of the European continents and North America, is likely not to be the case, or Oceania with Australia and New Zealand as well. That's the truth of the matter. But continue, let's see if you make any points that we can agree on.
35% of NHS doctors in England are non-UK nationals.
Okay, so do you want to break down that statistic a little bit more for us, Humza? So 35% aren't UK nationals. Where are the other doctors coming from? Are they coming from mainland Europe? Are they coming from America? Are they coming from further afield? You want to be more specific with your rhetoric and your policy points and your argument plays. Because if 35% are immigrants, then that would mean what? 65% aren't. So the majority of doctors in UK hospitals and GP surgeries are British.
The UK government's Office for Budget Responsibility forecasts higher net migration could boost tax receipts by around £7.5 billion by 2028-29.
Economists have agreed the reason why we have got growth is because of immigration. We are not growing as a country. We're not growing in terms of innovation because of stifling red tape. We are not growing through innovation, and we are not growing our economy through native-born people. We are dependent on cheap foreign labour.
Secondly, Britain and Europe face economic and societal collapse without immigration.
That's not true. The reason why we have a declining birth rate is because the economy is making it difficult for people to start families. That's the reality of the situation. We could be like some countries on the continent, like Hungary or Poland, that are looking to get pro-family policies in, like this one here. Poland's Conservative presidential candidate has just proposed removing personal income tax for Polish parents with 2 children or more. Could do something like that in the UK to incentivise people to get busy in the bedroom and start making some babies. You could do that.
The birth rates in England, Wales and Scotland are all at record lows, well below the levels needed to sustain the population. At the same time, the number of older people is rising significantly.
People should be looking after their own old people in their own communities. That's what they do in other countries. I wouldn't I wouldn't want a stranger looking after my parents. I wouldn't want a stranger looking after me in my old age. I'd want people I care about and trust to do it if I needed the help.
Record low birth rates, coupled with an ageing population, means that this country, this continent, needs migration.
Not from outside of Europe. Definitely not. Look at these statistics I'm going to bring up here. Migrant benefit claims surged past 1 billion. Alright? Benefit claims by refugee households have increased 33% in a year, government's figures show. The amount of universal credit paid to households with at least one claimant who is a refugee rose to over 1.1 billion in 2024, an increase of a third from 828 million in 2023. Migration experts attributed the increase to the first time it has passed 1 billion, to a surge in the number of asylum seekers. And then we look at this one here. This shows a graph of net contributors to the economy based on immigration. This is Denmark. They are a much smaller country than the United Kingdom, but they are a Western democracy in Western Europe, so we can extrapolate and we can say it's going to be broadly similar for the United Kingdom. There are 2 lines that are good, 1 line is alright, and 1 is god awful. Western, Chinese, Japanese, and Indian migrants tend to be net contributors. Migrants from North Africa, Middle East, Pakistan, and Turkey are a net drain. These basic facts should have dictated EU and immigration policy. So no, Humza. No, definitely not. We don't want any more of your buddies over in the United Kingdom if that's perfectly alright with you.
Otherwise, it will simply not sustain itself. Lastly, migrants are not spongers.
Yep, they are. We've already covered that. They are sponges. Let's have a look at this one now. Let's have a look at this one here. From Matt Goodwin. Of all long-term visas given out last year by the UK, guess how many were work visas? 14%. 14%. So 86% were relatives, students, and refugees. The Tories and Labour completely gutted the economy. It's not going for 20 years. And hapless Humza wants you to believe that migrants are the saviour of our economy. Don't believe his lies.
Work bloody hard. 39% of the UK's 100 fastest growing companies have a foreign born founder or co founder.
See what it does here. As I say, as I've previously shown here, okay, if you are from Western, Chinese, Japanese, and Indians, you are net contributors. When he says 39% of businesses in the UK are foreign owned or were started by a foreigner, he's not breaking it down because he doesn't want you to know that none of them are from North Africa, the Middle East, Pakistan, or Turkey. He doesn't want you to know this, so he just wants to see how they do it. They'll conflate it as all migrants when it's beneficial, and they'll whittle it down specifically ad hoc as and when. Don't fall for the lies, do not fall for the rhetoric. It's complete BS.
That's from fintech to AI. That's jobs, innovation, exports created by people who have chosen to come to Britain. So if we want a stronger NHS, a growing economy, and dignity in old age,
I don't want to be abused by migrants in care homes. I've seen the horror stories of what can happen. Alright? A growing economy is 0.3% growth on the back of the Boris wave of over 1 million migrants, primarily from outside of the European continent, is your idea of growth. You're completely insane and you should be in a mental institute.
we shouldn't fear newcomers. We should fear a future without them.
No, you should be incentivising the native British population to get busy and make babies. You should be doing that, alright? That's what you should be doing. We can replace our own population. We don't need immigration to do that. Now, if you think Humza Yousaf is a complete and utter waste of space, let me know. If you think I'm onto something with my critique, let me know. If you think this politician, I laughingly use that word, should just shut up and leave well enough alone, let me know. I appreciate your time today. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. You have a good evening or good morning, and thank you for your time.